Virtual reality has been in the news lately, but did you know you can build an immersive gaming hit without any visuals at all? Zombies Run is an audio-only mobile fitness game with a simple premise. Run for your life to escape the zombie apocalypse. This game has become an enduring classic with new seasons released each year. But this hit didn't come out of nowhere. Adrian Hon, the creator, has been writing science fiction and designing alternate reality games for over 20 years. Back in 2007, he started his own game studio and honed his craft developing games for Disney and the BBC. Here are Adrian's top tips for building a successful indie game studio.
I think most people never get the opportunity to start and end the project and see what happens. Release it to the public and get feedback and maybe get paid or lose money or whatever. I started doing that when I was like 14 or 15. I think most people start doing that when they're 21. It's pretty simple. And so I just kept doing it again and again because I like doing it. People should be doing this sort of thing when failure doesn't mean you're going to be bankrupt. And so if you can do that at high school, if you can do that at university, then that is the perfect time to do it. And it has to be like a real independent thing rather than something that is kind of too far in the kind of the guardrails, because otherwise it's not a real thing. I had a really good understanding of what I can do personally within 2 hours of work, within 2 weeks of work, within 2 months of work. I know what I can do. And so when someone tells you, I think I can make this piece of artwork in 2 weeks, do you really know? How can you tell? And so that's a thing I learned when I was a teenager, just from working with like strangers on the internet. And so that meant that when we did Zombies Run, and if we did the Kickstarter, and we said, this game is going to be out within 6 months. A lot of Kickstarter games never release at all, and most of them never come out on time. We were on time and on budget. And it's because we just knew how to do that. We had so much practice. The interesting thing with Zombies Run is that we really have extremely flexible settings for users because everyone is so different and so idiosyncratic when it comes to their fitness. There's a much wider range of abilities and of preferences than there would be for, I don't know, Call of Duty or something, where it's easier for people to practice and get it to a certain skill level. For Zombies Run, we've got people who would find it difficult to run 1 mile, and we've got people who find it trivial to run 40 miles. And so you have to go and have settings in the game that allow people to adapt the experience to what they want to do. And of course, you have default, and we want to make sure the default is something fairly sensible about like zombie chases and things. And part of that comes down to just like trial and error. That's a benefit of running a game for like 10 years is that you eventually figure out, okay, this seems about right. When we were designing Zombies Run for the first time, we didn't have time to test it. It was just me running around a bit and thinking it seems fine. And then we would tweak it later. A lot of it has just been through the game designers and through myself thinking this seems about right. I think one of the things that I am good at as a game designer is that I get much more frustrated and much more impatient with things than a lot of gamers. And I'd rather make a game too easy than too hard. And I think a lot of gamers would disagree with that. They would probably say, I find it boring if a game's too easy. And I think the games that I make are not boring if they're too easy. They're more about the world and the story than about the challenge. And even experienced game designers do this. I've always wanted to make a game where you can fly a spaceship and you can prepare the spaceship and you can get out of the spaceship and do these things and shoot aliens and that. And I was like, okay, maybe you should just do one of those things and then see how that works, because the game doesn't get better if you can do more things, actually. That's just a feature list. It is so hard to make a game that does one thing well, that is fun and doesn't kill you making it, and you don't even need to be original, honestly, because as long as you do something that like works, you've already been successful. It's become expected that new games and successful games should be really different and should be really innovative. I think that you can innovate in different ways. It doesn't have to be through game design. It can be through art. It can be through story. It can be through controls and things like that. And so I think the thing that happens with a lot of kind of game design textbooks and things like that is we valorize, what if we were to go and do it in a different way? And that is cool, but it ends up really challenging and probably harder than it really needs to be. Of course, I love it when I discover like a new genre and something that is a kind of game that is so different. But people still like crosswords, and that's just doing the same thing over and over again, but it's a really good game design. There's a lot of things that are important about leading teams. You want to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and doesn't overwork themselves and feels happy. I think within the context of games, what I found really important is trying to make sure everyone understands what it is that they're making, what part of it that they're making. And this sounds ridiculous, but often you'll be making a game and people will think they're making completely different games. People don't read anything. And so what I will end up doing is just talking to people. And so trying to make sure everyone is on the same page, and then also trying to make sure everyone is bought in to what it is we're making, which doesn't mean that everyone loves every single and is completely in sync on every single aspect. I never really want to be in a position where I go and say, we are going to change this piece of game design or change this piece of story just because I say so, and I'm not going to listen to what you say. I will always try and say, okay, I've listened to what you say, and this is a good part of it, and this is a bad part of it. I'm going to take everyone's ideas into account. But we do need to make a decision, and we're going to make a decision, and here's how it's going to be. And just hoping and really trying to, if not get everyone to love the decision, get everyone to sign on to the decision because they understand why it's being made.
Adrian's success shows us that original ideas can find success in the games industry. But don't just innovate for the sake of being different. People want to play the games that they enjoy. So you need to focus, first and foremost, on delighting your audience and delivering something that they're going to love, whether or not it's innovative. Want more advice from a games industry legend? Check out this video. Let's get smarter together. I'll see you in the next video.